Hello. So in this video, we're going to talk about Dario Fo's play, The Virtuous Burglar. This is a bit of a satire, but unlike many of Fo's other plays, the satire is not very strong here. This is more of a sex farce, where really nobody has sex. So, there is some, so in that sense, there is some satire of the genre. There's some satire, as with all sex farces, there's satire of monogamous relationships, gender relationships, etc., etc. But this is, it's more of a traditional comedy where you have mistaken identities, you have ironic inversions, etc., etc. So the play opens on a burglar climbing into the window of an apartment. He's cased the joint, in the lingo of crime movies. And he knows that this couple is going to be away on vacation, the couple who lives in the flat. So he's going to rob them. He's a burglar. That's what he does, obviously. But once he is in the apartment, the phone rings. And whereas most burglars, if the phone rang while they were burgling someone's apartment, would probably not answer it, this burglar answers it. And it turns out to be his wife, who has essentially called to nag him, to criticize him, to ask him to steal a present for her, etc., etc. And it is this bizarre henpecked husband type scenario throughout the opening portion. And the reason that it's funny, the reason that it's ironic, is because this wife's version of calling her husband at work is calling him on the telephone of the apartment that he is robbing. And she calls up and just does these, there's all these just trivial things. At the end, let me find it. The last bit, he's trying to hang up so he can get on with the robbery, and he says, "I've already said goodbye." The burglar's wife says, "Just a little kiss." The burglar says, "Oh, all right." According to the stage directions, he purses his lips in a comic way and emits a loud kissing sound. She says, "Do you love me?" He says, "Yes, I love you." She says, "Very much?" At the end of his tether, "Very, very much, but now will you put down the phone?" She says, "You first." He says, "All right, me first." And then stage directions say he's about to put down the phone when he hears his wife's voice assailing him louder for the last time. "Don't forget the present." So it is this bizarre kind of domestic relationship that's brought into the space of crime, which we typically think of as this space of surreptitiousness, silence, danger, etc., etc. And so that juxtaposition of that very odd, awkward, henpecked domestic relationship in the situation of this not super sophisticated, but this Ocean's 11 type crime situation. It's absolutely hilarious. Shortly after this, the burglar is interrupted again, this time when he hears a man and a woman's voice about to enter the apartment. It turns out that while the owner of the apartment, the wife, has gone to visit her parents, the husband has stayed in town, and he is having an affair with another woman. So they come in. Their relationship is very, very awkward as well. Not awkward, socially awkward, but awkward, they keep running into these weird stumbling blocks because on the one hand, they clearly want to have sex with each other. That's why they are here. On the other hand, they're somewhat paranoid about his wife finding them, which is, I guess, a reasonable fear since they have come to his apartment. But when he mentions her husband, the woman's husband, then she sort of loses the mood, we'll say. So we've got, again, these very awkward, strained relationships. But the other thing that's striking is that the phone becomes this sort of terrifying omen of destruction in some way, right? Like with the burglar, he was initially terrified. Like if you were robbing an apartment and you hear a loud, unexpected noise, I imagine, having never done that, that would be pretty startling. So we had that precedent set. But then the man and the woman, they're in the middle of seduction, etc., and the phone rings. It says the stage directions say the two are about to go out in each other's arms when the telephone rings. They stop in embarrassment, not knowing what to do. And basically, like, he eventually picks up the phone, puts the receiver in a drawer, and she's like, but now you've taken it off the hook, so they're going to know that we're here. So it becomes this catch-22 of like, if you don't answer the phone, then one, it'll keep ringing. Two, somebody will come around because you haven't answered the phone, and so they'll come to check on you. But if you answer the phone and put it in the drawer or whatever it is, then they'll know that you've put it in the drawer, so they'll know that you're there, so they will conclude that you must be having an affair, so they'll come around to catch you, etc. It is this great logical loop that really, like, it's the kind of thing that you get in the traditional sex farce, the traditional romantic farce, where the surreptitious lovers are caught in some kind of knot. The phone rings again, because he takes it out of the drawer, having realized that, as the woman points out, if he puts it in the drawer, someone will know that he was there to answer it and put it in the drawer, etc., etc. It rings again, and it's the burglar's wife calling back. So it says here, that's the woman the apartment owner is having an affair with, replaces the receiver. No sooner has she said these words than the phone begins to ring again. The two stare at each other, once more overcome by terror. The man, almost hypnotized by the sound, grabs the phone and very slowly raises it to his ear. With a strained voice, "Hello?" As before, the figure of the burglar's wife appears, and at the same time, her intensely irritated voice is heard. She says, "About time, too. I've been trying to get through for a full hour. Are you going to tell me why you cut me off?" The man says, "I'm sorry, who's speaking?" His lover puts her ear close to the receiver so that she too can hear. The burglar's wife says, "Oh, that's lovely. Now you don't even recognize your own wife's voice." Nearly fainting, the woman says, "Your wife. I knew it. Oh my God." The burglar's wife says, "Who's that with you? How could you? I distinctly heard a woman's voice. Who is it?" And he goes on from there. So this is another twist in this story, because the burglar's wife thinks that she's talking to her husband, the burglar, and that he's having an affair with someone else rather than burgling this house. The man and the woman who are having the affair think that they're talking to his wife and that she's just caught them in the act. And so they become, everybody basically becomes terrified or irate, depending on what the appropriate reaction is. By the way, all this time, the burglar himself is hiding in the grandfather clock so as not to be caught burgling the house. That becomes kind of an issue when the clock starts to chime midnight and the pendulum knocks him in the noggin. So that drives him out. So then there's a man and a woman in this guy's flat. He thinks that his wife now knows that he's having an affair and will be coming over to catch him. And actually, ironically enough, the burglar's wife ends up calling the apartment owner's wife and accusing her of having an affair with the burglar. So the burglar's wife alerts the homeowner or the apartment owner's wife that something untoward is going on. So then they both start heading over to catch their respective husbands in flagrante delicto, as it were. The burglar has now come out of the grandfather clock to avoid being hit in the head. The man seizes his opportunity to try and weasel his way out of being caught in this affair. And he demands that the burglar and the woman that the apartment owner, is having an affair with, pretend to be married so that when his wife shows up, he can be like, no, I'm just entertaining some friends. I'm not cheating on you. Everything's good. The burglar is reluctant to do this. The woman that he was having an affair with is reluctant to do this. But in order to save her marriage, she's willing to, and in order to not be shot by the homeowner or the flat owner who has a pistol, the burglar agrees to go along with this charade. Eventually the wife does show up. They play out their whole, oh, these are just my married friends and we're not doing anything questionable charade. She more or less buys it. Then the burglar's wife shows up. And that's where the problems are picked back up. Because she shows up and says, that's my husband. And the apartment owner's wife is like, wait, how does he have two husbands? Or how does he have two wives? And they play this off basically by saying he got divorced, which he is allowed to do because he is in the movies. In Catholic Italy, I guess in the 70s, early 70s when this play premiered, divorce was not legal. But he was able to get a divorce, etc., because of his standing in the movies. So we've got these like lies upon lies upon lies. Then so they send the two women, the burglar's wife and the woman the apartment owner was having an affair with, back to the bedroom, basically to sort of hash out their problems that don't really exist. And the apartment owner and the burglar go back as well. Then another character shows up, Antonio, who, it turns out, is the husband of the woman the apartment owner was having an affair with, but also Antonio is having an affair with the wife of the apartment owner. So he has now shown up. I'll call her Anna because that's actually the way that she's listed, the apartment owner's wife. So Anna is having an affair with Antonio. She thinks that Antonio has come to have sex with her, but her husband is there along with these three guests. Antonio thinks that she is cheating on him, that Anna is cheating on him, not with her husband, but with someone else, particularly the burglar, though he doesn't know that it's a burglar. And so Antonio is there in a rage. He then finds his wife there, claiming to be the wife of the burglar. And so everything is just this mess of relationships. It's a really complicated knot that leads to really hilarious misunderstandings and things like this. The other element that we have here is a bit of a satire of burglary, or comedy around burglary. It's not necessarily satire as such, but like at one point, the burglar is somewhat ironically self-righteous about the fact that his burgling has been interrupted so that he could be forced to pretend to be this woman's wife to get this adulterous flat owner off the hook. And so the man says, "You came here to burgle. All right, get on with it. Burgle away." He opens the silverware drawer. "There's some gold teaspoons there. Help yourself." Burglar takes out his bag, opens it, but then thinks better of it. Says, "No thank you, but stealing things in this way is not my style. Another time, perhaps." The man who's beginning to get jumpy, he makes as though to take the gun from his pocket. "I have ways of making you, with this." The burglar says, "If you really insist." He handles a spoon very delicately. "Yes, quite pleasing little piece, this spoon." He sticks it into his jacket pocket. The man takes out his gun menacingly. "I told you to steal, so do it thoroughly. I don't want you to go around telling people there's nothing much to steal in my house or complaining that we exploit burglars." The burglar says, "I never said that." The man says, "You're just the type to say it. Come on, take these as well." He opens a drawer and hands him a bundle of silver spoons. The burglar says, "I really don't want to abuse your kindness, your hospitality." The man says, "No need for scruples. Just get on with the job. I've got a gun, remember?" And then that's the moment where the burglar's wife comes in. And again, the sex farce picks up. But we've got this fascinating idea. Like, I don't want you to tell people there's nothing worth stealing or that we exploit burglars. It's a really bizarre juxtaposition of the normal expectations. Right, again, because we got that at the beginning when the burglar's wife called and interjected this domestic scene into the scene of criminality. We have that same kind of reversal here where it's the apartment owner holding a gun to the burglar, telling him to steal his stuff. Whereas we would expect it to be the other way around, where the burglar comes in armed, holds the apartment owner at gunpoint, and takes his valuables. So again, Fo loves these kinds of reversals, juxtapositions, challenges of our expectations, etc., and he's really, really good at this. And then the end of the play is very, very striking as well. Because basically the last thing that happens is that a second burglar comes in through the open window, planning to steal the valuables. And his first reaction is, "Nice place here, the cutlery already parceled up. Very thoughtful of them." So we have this great ending where another burglar has come in, throwing another wrench into the situation. But basically, the second burglar gets caught because everybody rushes in, and essentially what they do is say, "Yeah, we can explain everything," and they all talk at once, and the play ends with everybody talking at once, trying to explain what happens, so you just get this cacophony of sound that doesn't clearly explain anything.